Don't make these simple mistakes when choosing your additional skills in Warpath. I've been asked by one of you down in the comments if I can give some advice on what additional skills are good to use and ones that may seem good but aren't necessarily that worth getting. So we're not going to waste any time, we're going to dive straight into it. But I do want to quickly say thank you so much for 250 subscribers already and all the love and support, the messaging. You guys have been amazing and I really appreciate each and every single one of you. So as always, if you do find this helpful, please let me know down in the comments if this has helped you. And let me know if there's anything else you need help with. As always, guys, thank you so much. Let's jump straight into the video. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm basically going to show you what I'm using, the reasoning for it, and why I may necessarily not choose something else. For my helicopter, I run Valkyrie with Eagle, and on these two officers, I've gone and got the standard 15% extra damage. It's a helicopter. It's designed for dealing that damage, so I want to try and get as much damage on this unit as possible. So what I've gone for is standard damage, and additionally, I've gone for a normal attack buff of 15%, and mixed with that normal attack buff, we've also got the critical strike rate of 20%. Now, that's the bonus. If it was, for example, just critical strike, I personally wouldn't go for it, and I'll explain that in a little while, but we'll move on quickly to Golden Eagle. So over here, unfortunately, I'm not able to find a balance skill. There is no additional balance skill here that is going to allow us to do damage and protection other than this one right here, but I am using this on my Howie. So what we've gone is we've gone and got 20% extra damage resist. Now, HP is not that worth getting. You're always better off getting damage resist. So firepower and HP, you do not really want to get them. If it's all you've got left, I guess it's gonna do, but you always want to go for damage and damage resist, because those are the last things calculated when looking into how the damage is outputted and the protection is outputted. So the last factor on any skill is going to be damage resist and damage. Those are the ones you want to go for. Second of all, we've gone and got the normal attack damage buff. Now, the reason I've gone and got these is because of Eagle's extra awoken skill. Now, it says here this troop deals 20% extra damage with its normal attacks, and its normal attacks ignore 10% of the enemy's damage resist. So all of my normal attacks are going to be ignoring 10% of the damage resist. Now I'm also dealing 20% plus the extra 30%, so that's 50%, plus 15%. So that's 65% damage on my normal attacks on my heli. So every time that heli attacks, I'm dealing 65% extra pure damage, not firepower, damage. Which there's no perfect way to calculate it, but most people will say for every 10% firepower, you're getting around 5% damage. So basically, I'm getting a lot. So if I'm getting 65% damage, I'm getting around 120% firepower extra on top. So with that in mind, I've built my helicopter to be a damage unit. So I don't want to add HP onto it. I don't want to add anything that's not going to help increase its power. So moving on to my Howie, kind of the same thing. My Howitzer is used for attacking bases more than units, so I've gone and got the damage for attacking fortifications. This also includes infantry, so when infantry are attacking you or your base, you're going to be dealing 25% extra damage to those infantry because they count as fortifications when they are in their bunker mode. I'm then also dealing more damage on top, so I got damage buff here of 10% mixed with a damage resist of 10% because you can't have two damage offensive things. So you can only have one offense, one defense, or you can get a balance skill. And this is the best balance skill at the moment where you can get a damage buff and a damage resist buff. Then over on I'm currently dealing skill damage buff of 30% to both, but this is unfortunately broken at the moment and you don't actually deal 30% to both. It does only do it to one, which is unfortunate. And then finally, as I mentioned, I don't want HP or anything like that. So we've gone with damage resist. 15% is my next best one I can get because the other one that's 20%, which is Argent Flame, is being used. For the additional skills for my ATG, we're running Argent Flame with Antonina, and what we're going to have on here, the damage buff of 25% when garrisoned. Now, remember the ATG 90% of the time is going to be in your base. You don't use your ATG to attack bases. You don't use it for anything other than really defense. You know, you might bring it out to attack a rally that's nearby. You bring it out to defend maybe one of your alliance members is being attacked and, you know, you're going to help. So you'd bring out your ATG to just try and provide some cover fire. But as soon as that rally starts approaching you, you'd bring it back in. So 90% of the time, your ATG is in your base. So therefore, we want to try and buff its garrison damage because that is where it lives. And as many of you might know, but Argent Flame already has 35% extra damage when garrisoned. So not only is he doing 35% extra garrison damage, I'm also getting a further 25% from Percy's skill, which these two put together now equals 60% garrison damage. But there's more over on Antonina. Antonina offers 25% garrison damage, which means not only am I now doing 60%, I'm now doing 85% extra bonus garrison damage. But there's more. We now have 32% from Vox. She is offering 32% garrison damage. So now we are doing a total of 117% extra damage. We have 117% damage buff when garrisoned in our base, and considering the ATG is 90% inside at all times, I think this is an absolutely amazing skill, especially when defending a rally or something. And then of course we've got the damage resist again, and finally over here we've also got damage resist. So again, you don't want HP, you want to have damage resist. It's much better than HP. I do also have another units that I use, so I don't have it equipped right now, but it's just a very small infantry. But what I do is I chuck on this so I get a base shield when I'm getting attacked. So we're running Thorn. Eventually I will have probably another helicopter which will have this unit on. It will be Thorn mixed with Steel Fighter. Now what this does is it provides a base shield, and then the additional skills, if you are someone who's going to be tanking bases, this is one of the skills you have to have. It is so good. This has a 75% chance, so it's not guaranteed, but it is almost every single time. Again, it's not guaranteed, but 75% chance to reduce damage taken by 40%. Now, this is a skill damage. This is absolutely amazing, especially if you pair this up with something like a super heavy, or, you know, when tanking a base in any way, shape, or form. This is going to protect you so much from the skills from the officers that are garrisoned inside the base. With it, I do just run this protection skill. Unfortunately, I don't have him level 5 yet for this skill. I don't have too many more protection skills available. So that is also why if I go to Steel, I've just got myself a little bit of extra damage here. We've got 15% damage, and then we do have a HP buff. But again, this is because I just don't really have any other protection skills right now. I could technically get this. This is another skill reduction that could be really good. But again, the skill reduction is only when I get hit by skills. It doesn't protect me from anything else. So I just don't have anything else available because all my skills are being used by someone else. So it's kind of a final resort thing because, as I said, it's on my infantry. So technically, I'm not even getting anything for this right now. But as I said, sometimes if I'm attacking a base, I will switch out my officers on my helicopter, and say I want to go and attack someone. What I'll do is I will attack them with my Steel and my Thorn on my helicopter, and then my Howie would also attack with it. So we are just currently retreating back here. We was over here fighting a little bit earlier on, but I do need to watch my reserves now. As you can see up the top right, I'm getting very low on reserves. I've been fighting all day, and we've actually made some really good progress here, guys. We are currently #1 on the fighting machine by a very long way. So hopefully, guys, we'll be able to get a lot of footage for you, and definitely stop by the streams as well. Today we done like a 6-hour stream on Warpath. I'm not saying you have to obviously come along for the whole 6 hours, but we was answering so many questions for you guys, and honestly, it was crazy to see so much support from you guys coming into the stream. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it, to each and every person who showed up, and they got to watch some insane fights all day today. So yeah, hopefully every Sunday I'll try and do a little mini stream for you guys, so definitely stand by for that. Now, quickly jumping into some skills I want to warn you about that might not be that great to get. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, for example, what about skills that offer pen damage? Now, pen damage is great. This skill here is a really good skill. It also buffs normal attack, so this could even be really good for, say, a helicopter. It's giving you that 7.5% normal attack damage, which is really good, and pen damage of 40%, and then that is amazing, right? But hear me out. Here's the thing. The pen damage isn't guaranteed. A lot of the times, if you have a maxed unit, you are gonna overpen most things you attack. It's only gonna be like super heavies and that you really genuinely will penetrate on a consistent basis. If you're attacking MBs, other helicopters, you are not going to be hitting that pen. So I feel like this is, if any skill is going to be a good skill, this would be one of them to get, just because it offers that extra 7.5% damage, which again, you can get better skills at, for example, a 15% extra damage. I think instead of going for things that have a chance, so anything that offers the odds, anything that offers a chance to do it, I personally would stay clear from. I don't think it's going to be a very good option. For example, like here, there's a 40% chance for the penetration. It's just not guaranteed. You know, you want something that's going to provide constant damage. Now over here, critical strike rate, another one that people ask me a lot about. Critical strike rate, you're going to deal an extra 150 damage. You've only got a 10% chance of you hitting a critical strike. So why do you want to only deal 150% damage 10% of the time when you could do 15 to 20% extra damage 100% of the time at all times? Now you might be thinking, all I need to do is hit 1 in 10 and it's going to make up. But that's if you hit 1 in 10. What if you get a very unlucky streak and you don't hit at all? So the way I see it is, instead of giving yourself a maybe, give yourself guarantees. For example, as I said, with up here, I've got a guaranteed percentage of hitting this a 15% extra damage. I have a guaranteed 15%, but I'm also getting that critical strike rate of 20%. So that being said, this is a very good skill to get. Now, a lot of people will probably be using Rapier as an officer. Unlike me, I don't have an L, so I'm not going to have him personally, but he is amazing. I do have him over on my ult. But as I said, guys, this, for example, would be one of the best skills to get, because not only does he give you that guaranteed damage, you're then also getting that 150% damage when you do hit a critical strike. I think these sort of skills are amazing, but anything that's like you have a chance of hitting, I don't think they're that great. Unless they're like a protection one, I just don't see them being that worthy, if I'm personally honest. But moving forward, what I would try and advise is look at the unit you are using, okay? If you're using a helicopter, you don't want to be adding additional skills that buff your HP. A helicopter doesn't need its HP. It needs to deal with the damage. It's a very offensive unit. So if you're gonna have an offensive unit with offensive officers, you want to try and stack as much offensive ability onto those skill trainings. Same with a howitzer. If your howitzer is aimed at killing units, you don't want to be putting things on like increases fortification damage. You're going to want to focus on getting things that are good for killing units. For example, hence why with my ATG, I'm focusing on just dealing raw damage when I'm garrisoned, because I'm using it to my ability. My ATG is going to be garrisoned most of the time, so therefore I'm buffing that chance of when I'm garrisoned. So I hope this video helped, guys. Skill training can be a very tricky one, but as I said, try and stay away from the percentages. Maybe I would say you're better off going for the 100% consistency over the maybes of the percentages. So guys, whether this video helped you or it didn't, please let me know down below. Maybe I can help you a little bit further with your personalized options of your skills. But as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you do need help with anything else, let me know. Okay guys, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope to see you in the next one.